Hi, my name is Mark, and I'm really grateful just to be able to tell you a little bit about my board game, Catnap. Now, Catnap is a print and play, roll and write style of game that really came about as a result of the pandemic. And I found I really wanted to have a board game where we could play with folks over video chat, like Zoom or Skype or things like that. But I found that most of the games that we enjoy just didn't seem to work with that. So I just said, well, I'm just gonna make my own game. And that's kind of where Catnap has come from. Most of our friends are not really into board games the way that we are, so I couldn't assume that they would have certain things. So with Catnap, the components are pretty simple. All you need are two 6-sided dice, preferably two different colors. You also need pencils for everybody, and then just a printout of the board game itself. What's essential in Catnap is that regardless of who rolls the dice, everybody plays on every roll. So there's no real downtime because every roll is your turn. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and learn the specifics of how to play Catnap. Now, to play your first piece, go ahead and roll the dice. The white die is going to tell me the shape that I'm going to draw, and the color die will tell me which pattern I will draw inside of that shape. So for example, I roll, and I roll double threes. I roll a 3 on the white die and a 3 on the color die. What that tells me is that everyone, not just me, but everyone who's playing is going to have to place an L-shape piece. That's what a 3 is. And inside of that L-shaped piece, we're all going to have to draw diagonal lines. Now, the first piece, I can spin this L, I can flip it any way I want, but the main thing is that this first piece must attach to the centerpiece on one of the sides of this centerpiece. I cannot simply attach something to a corner, like put it out like this. That would not work. It must attach, just like a quilt would, you have to attach it to the side of another square. So let me think for a second. I think for this piece, I'm gonna go ahead and put it, I'm gonna spin that L shape a little bit, and I'm gonna put it right here. And so I'll just start drawing diagonal lines into an L shape. And there we go. We have our first piece that is attached squarely to the centerpiece, and we're good to go. From here on out, you continue to build your quilt with each roll of the dice. What's important, though, to remember is that every piece after this point has to attach either to the piece I've already played, or I can always branch off again from the centerpiece in a new direction. So let me go ahead and roll. This time I rolled a 6 on the white die, and again a 3 on the red die, which actually presents a little bit of a challenge early in the game, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So first of all, the 6 tells me I can draw either 3 shape, either a right angle or a straight piece, and the 3 again tells me diagonal lines. Now I got to make a decision here. I could attach it off the piece I've already played, or I can, if I don't like any of those options, I can start off and go in a different direction off the centerpiece. What I cannot do is take this 6 piece and maybe put it way up here or something like that. You cannot just float a piece out in space. Everything must be attached, and you're working to build out your quilt piece by piece. So for me, as we'll find out in a minute, I don't want to put another diagonal shape here. We're going to get penalized if we put like patterns together. So instead, I'm going to come over on this side, and I'm going to take this 3 shape, I think, and I'm going to put it right here. So there's my 6-3 shape with diagonal lines. And so again, you just continue to roll and build out your quilt. Now, in addition to just filling in your quilt, you also earn bonus stars for completely surrounding a cat. This means that when every square around a cat, including the corners, gets filled in, you earn a single star that you immediately get to add to your quilt. So for example, notice that a 1 and a 4 was rolled, which means a straight piece that's filled in. And that piece I decided to put right here. Not only did it fit nicely on my quilt, but notice it also means that I have now completely surrounded my first kitty, which earns me a bonus star. So what I do is I first fill in this little star on his belly. This is just kind of a way to keep track of which cats I've completed. And now I get to add a single star to anywhere on my quilt, provided that it still is attached to my quilt, just like any other piece would be. For example, I couldn't just float it way out here or anything like that. Now I do notice I have a gap right here. And so what I've decided to do is I'm going to take my bonus star and I'm going to put it in right there. Now sometimes what will happen is the star you put in will end up completing another kitty, in which case you go ahead and fill in that star and place another star on your quilt. Now I know a lot of you out there are really into quilt making, and so you know already that what makes for a really exceptional quilt is the diverse mosaic of patterns. When a bunch of the same kind of patterns get glummed up together, well, it just looks bad. And your cats don't want to sleep on an ugly quilt. No, that would be bad. So to keep your temperamental kitties content and to earn some bonus points, try to avoid same patterns touching on your quilt. Now it may be that during the game, either by choice or by necessity, you end up having 2 pieces of the same pattern touching, like I do right here. When this happens, you must then come down to the pattern bonus and cross off the leftmost circle. If it happens again, then I would cross off the 8. At the end of the game, the highest remaining number is my pattern bonus score. Now, as the game progresses and your quilt gets more and more filled in, you're going to find that your options are going to become increasingly limited. And at times, you're just going to be plain stuck. But have no fear. You have 3 rescues, which, like a superhero swooping out of the sky, will come down and be able to get you out of a jam. Now these rescues are located here at the top of your quilt, and each one gives you a one-time benefit to help you mitigate the die roll. So you didn't like the number that came up on the white die? Well, come over here, you could cross off this first one and instead place a 2-shaped piece anywhere you like instead of what was assigned. Or come here and you could add 1 or subtract 1 from what was rolled on the white die. And the same here. If you want avoid same patterns touching at some point, you could alter the pattern die by adding 1 or subtracting 1. So on my board, notice a 4 was rolled, but I have no place left to fit a cube. Fortunately, I have some options with my rescues. And notice here, a 3 would fit perfectly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 4, I will cross off this shape rescue, and I'm going to be able to make this into a 3. Now everybody else who is playing must still follow the pattern that was rolled. But I, using my rescue, now I'm going to make this a 3, and I still keep the same pattern that was rolled, which was spirals. Now, don't you just feel so clever? Now, should you get to the point where you simply cannot play, meaning all your rescues have been used up and the assigned shape just does not fit on your quilt anywhere, well, at that time, you need to check one of the 2 pass boxes down here in the lower left-hand corner of the game sheet. Now, it's important to remember that passing is only when you have no other option. The basic rule is if you can play, you must play. And now the game ends when a player either has earned 5 stars, meaning circled at least 5 cats, or has passed twice. When either one of those conditions happens, the player announces it to the group, everybody finishes up putting in their last piece, and then the game ends, and everyone adds up their score to see who wins. Okay, now it's time to add up my score. Let's see how I did. First of all, I have completed rows. So any row that doesn't have a gap. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks like I got 7. And then the same thing with columns. How many completed columns? 1, 2, 3, not that one, not that one, 4, looks like just 5 of completed columns. Bonus stars achieved. I completely surrounded and placed 4. I completely surrounded 4 cats, 4 stars. You times that by 3, and so that gives me 12 points for my bonus stars. And my pattern bonus, I had 1 pattern touching, so my highest remaining number here is an 8. And so adding that up, 20, 27, looks like 32. Alrighty, not a bad score. One of the things I really like about roll and write games is that they, in essence, create a document which you can look back over and observe all the clever and sometimes not so clever decisions that you made along the way. And the neat thing about Catnap is not only do you have a document of the game, but at the end you kind of have a nice piece of artwork. You know, you can color it in if you want, you can put it up on your refrigerator, you can take pictures of it and post it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever, and yeah, have fun with it. I've been really grateful, like I said, to be able to tell you and introduce to you Catnap. I would love to hear back from you about your experience playing the game, or maybe you can send me a picture of your own completed quilt. Thanks so much.